Hello, welcome to your Algebra 2 Lesson 5.1 video. Today we're going to talk about using properties of exponents. The objective will be to simplify expressions involving powers, involving exponents. Okay, so most of this is review from Algebra 1, so we will move through it pretty quickly. A and B are real numbers. And we're going to let m and n be integers, values like 2, 3, 4, that kind of thing. 1 would be fine also. The product of powers property is that if you multiply two power expressions together and they have the same base, you add your exponents. So a to the m times a to the n equals a to the m plus n. Power of a power property is if you take one base and you raise it to the power of m and then raise that whole thing to the power of n, you multiply your exponents together. You have a to the m times n. The power of a product property is when you have two things multiplied together and they're both raised to the nth power, they're in parentheses there, you raise each base to that power. So you have a to the m times b to the m. The negative exponent property, a to the negative m is equal to 1 over a to the m. Actually, it's equal to 1 over a, the whole thing to the nth power, but 1 to the m is 1. So this is what it ends up being. The main thing you need to remember is that a negative exponent means reciprocal of the base. And so the reciprocal of a is 1 over a. And since 1 to the nth power is 1, that's why eventually it's going to be 1 over a to the m. The zero exponent property is as long as a is not equal to 0, if it's any other number, that number to the 0 power is equal to 1. The quotient of powers property is a to the m over a to the n is equal to a to the m minus n. And the power of a quotient property, a over b to the nth power, you just raise each the numerator and the denominator to the nth power. So you have a to the m over b to the m. And, we have a note here that b can't be 0 or you'd be dividing by 0, which is always a bad thing. All right, so for our first example, we've got the product inside parentheses, -4 times 2 to the 5th, the whole thing squared. So let's use the power of a product property, and we'll raise each of the factors to the second power. So we'll have -4 squared times 2 to the 5th to the second power. Well, -4 squared is 16. For the 2 to the 5th to the second power, we have a power to a power, and so we multiply our exponents together. And so we're going to have 16 times 2 to the 10th, and 2 to the 10th times 16 is equal to 16,384. Okay, for part B, we've got 11 to the 5th over 11 to the 8th, all to the -1 power. So we're going to use that negative exponent property. Remember, really the negative just means use the reciprocal of. So we would flip 11 to the 8th over 11 to the 5th, and then raising it to the first power just gives it itself. Anything to the first power is just itself. Okay, now we want to use the quotient of powers property. We want to subtract our exponents, so we're going to have 11 to the 8 minus 5, and so this is going to give you 11 to the third power, which is 1,331. Okay, you can use the properties of exponents to simplify algebraic expression. A simplified expression contains only positive exponents, so you've got to manipulate the expression until all your exponents are positive. Okay, I've got b to the -4th times b to the 6th times b to the 7th. So we can add all those together, and we have b to the -4 plus 6 plus 7, and so that gives you b to the 9th, and that would be your answer. For b, we've got r to the -2 divided by s cubed, all raised to the -3 power. So we want to raise each part of our fraction to the -3 power, and so I've got r to the -2 to the -3, so I'll multiply by exponents there to give me r to the 6th, and then I have s cubed to the -3 power. 3 times -3 is -9. So that negative exponent there means use the reciprocal, and so we're going to have r to the 6th over 1 over s to the ninth? Well, dividing by 1 over s to the ninth is the same thing as multiplying by s to the ninth over 1. So we get r to the 6th s to the ninth. Now, this is a very much using the definition of negative exponents rule, okay, because negative exponent means use the reciprocal of. But when you have a fraction, a shortcut thing to do is to go, okay, it's going to be the same thing as using the reciprocal, but whatever's raised to a negative exponent, I can just move to the other level of that fraction. So since this is in the denominator, the s to the negative ninth, boom, I can move it to the numerator, and it would be s to the positive ninth, and we would just end up with the same thing. All right, we've got 16 n to the fourth n to the negative fifth over 2 times n to the negative fifth. So 16 over 2 we reduce just like normal, and so that's going to be 8. M to the fourth doesn't have anything to reduce with, so it just gets written down. And then we're going to have n to the negative 5 minus negative 5. Well, that's going to give us negative 5 plus 5, so that's n to the 0 power. N to the 0 power is 1, and so we get 8m to the fourth. Now another thing you could do is just notice, oh, I've got n to the negative fifth here and n to the negative fifth here. Those are the same expression exactly, so I can just cancel them. All right, what is the simplified form of x to the negative 3 times y cubed, all raised to the second power, over x to the fifth, y to the sixth? Okay, let's do the power of a product property. So that means we're going to square both of these factors. So we're going to have x to the negative 3 squared and y cubed squared. And then we have it over x to the fifth, y to the sixth. So we're going to multiply our exponents together there, and we'll have x to the negative 6 times y to the sixth over x to the fifth, y to the sixth. So we're going to have x to the negative 6 minus 5, y to the 6 minus 6, and we're going to simplify the exponent. So we're going to have x to the negative 11 times y to the 0, and so we're going to have x to the negative 11 times 1. That negative there means use the reciprocal of, and so we would have 1 over x to the 11th power. 1 to the 11th power is 1, and so we just have 1 over x to the 11th power. Okay, now that is using the definitions and taking it step by step. I will tell you what I tend to do, just to make my life easier so I don't end up with like the x to the negative 11, is I look and go, okay, where is, for the x's, where is the larger power? Well, the larger power is in the denominator, so I'm going to have, that's where my x's are going to end up. And what I do is I do x to the 5 minus negative 6, so that would be 5 plus 6, which would give me x to the 11th on the bottom. And I would also do the, y to the 6th, y to the 6th, those can just cancel out. So on the bottom I'd have x to the 11th, everything cancels out of the top, and so I'd have 1, and so I would get to the same answer that we just got, which is 1 over x to the 11, which is B. All right, that's it for the 5.1 video. If you've been assigned the 5.2 video also, you need to switch to that and go ahead and watch it. I know you're excited. There's more math to learn.